what are now very swanky apartments and townhouses and wharves, a lot of this area would have been a den of iniquity. It would have been a hive of scum and villainy, brothels, pirates.
Oh, that's right. Well, we're just about to pass the side of Execution Dock. It's about here where they used to hang the guys.
And there's the prospect of Whitby.
Yeah, that commemorates Judge Jack Rees, who was the great hanging judge.
We're gonna check that out because there's still a hangman's noose there. It wasn't always called the Prospect of Whitby, was it?
Originally, it was called the Devil's Tavern. The pub itself has been here since 1520. It's a very old place, and I suppose, it's full of all sorts of people.
Who like?
All sorts of river workers, and no doubt a fair degree of villainy as well. Cargo thieves like scupplemongers and light horsemen and heavy horsemen. The light horsemen and the heavy horsemen were the people who used to cut the barge moorings. Then you drift the barge off down on the tide to some secluded creek where you'd loot it.
What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor?
Tell me about Execution Dock.
Execution Dock's a couple of hundred yards to our right. And after pirates had been condemned to hang, it'd be a big public spectacle, people lining the riverbank. And then they'd be hanged on a platform, on a scaffold, which was below the high tide mark. And it was a pretty nasty way to die because there was a very short drop. But effectively they strangled. They would take the body down, it would be tarred so that it would be preserved, and then it would be put in an iron gibbet cage and then taken away to hang in a very public place as an awful warning to seamen not to turn pirate.
Blow the man down, police, blow the man down.
The most famous of all pirates to meet a grisly end at Execution Dock was Captain Kidd.
Yes.
Who actually was he?
Well, William Kidd was a Scots sea captain who was essentially a privateer. That's a private seaman who was licensed by the state to wage war on the king's enemies. He had a house in New York. He was connected, but eventually he crossed the mark, which a lot of people did, from privateering to piracy. He was condemned before the Admiralty Court, and he was hanged here in May 1701. His body was gibbeted and left to dry out and to be picked over by the crows once they could get through the tar for the next 3 years.
And so, with maritime history swirling like a hornpipe round my head, I ducked in for a tot of rum at the Captain Kidd in memory of the old seed hog himself.
Jack.